let's look at this portion. We're going to look at Luke chapter 2, verse 36 to 39. We're going to highlight some things through those verses, so grab your Bible and open it up to that section, or grab a mobile device and take a look. Luke chapter 2, verse 36. And there was one Anna, a prophetess, the daughter of Phanuel, the tribe of Asher. She was of great age and had lived with a husband 7 years from her virginity. So let's take a look at what's in this verse real quick. She's of the tribe of Asher. Asher, the name means happy. And you can see that in the verse itself. And you can, not this verse, but the verse back in Genesis. And you can also see it because of Brown Driver Briggs and some other scholars who have studied these word names. Asher is Zilpah's second son. Zilpah is Leah's handmaid. And you can go back to Genesis chapter 30, verse 13, and you can see that if I have my verse marker correct. But Asher is Jacob's 8th son. So that's actually very interesting. Remember, Jacob has 12 sons, 13 children when you count his daughter. But he has 12 sons. Asher is one of Israel's sons because Jacob is renamed Israel. We know that from back there in Genesis. So Asher is one of the 12 tribes of Israel. So what we have right here in Luke is Luke identifying a tribe who was very known at that moment in time, and is saying that we have someone from the tribe of Asher living in Jerusalem. This becomes very important when you consider the concepts of remnant. Luke chapter 2, verse 37. She was a widow of about 84 years. This is King James. Which departed not from the temple, but served God with fastings and prayers night and day. Now, some people refer to this, she is doing temple worship. No, she does not do temple worship, because she is worshiping God at the temple. There is a difference. For a Jew, you don't worship the temple. So if you were doing temple worship, you would be worshiping the temple. She is not worshiping anything at the temple. She is worshiping God, Jehovah, according to the prescriptions found in the law of Moses, which are carried out in all of the feast and all of the sacrifices at the location of the temple in Jerusalem on what we call the Temple Mount. That's what she was doing. So this is about 70 years before Rome comes in and obliterates the temple. Her life is centered around God. God is at the temple. His presence is there. So he does not center her life around the temple. She centers it around God. There is a very distinct difference. Her life is seen at the temple, yes, and the temple has the sacrifices. But her life is defined by worship of God at the temple, and with fastings and with prayers and supplications. So she has devoted her entire life to serving God at the temple and being there for people when they come to the temple. So she has become a servant of Jehovah. Luke chapter 2, verse 38. And she coming in that instant. Now that instant actually refers back to the other verses prior to this, which include Simeon. So she, in that instance, she gave thanks. This is back in Luke chapter 2, verse 38. She gave thanks unto the Lord, and spoke of him to all them that looked for redemption in Jerusalem. So who is she giving thanks to? We have been noticing that Luke does not specify Lord equals Jehovah, Lord equals Jesus. In this instance, Lord is not referring to Jesus, Lord is referring to God. So she came in that instance and gave thanks unto God. Because she's not giving thanks unto Jesus for Jesus, she's giving thanks unto God for Jesus. Now she spoke of him to all those that looked for redemption in Israel. Now of him could very well be that she's speaking about Jesus. That seems to be very true from that verse. Luke chapter 2, verse 39. And when they had performed all things according to the law of the Lord, they returned into Galilee to their own city, Nazareth. They, of course, would be Joseph and Mary. You can find that back up in chapter 2, verse 33 and 34. Now again, we talk about the law of the Lord, and we've spoken about this several times at this point. It is, going back to Luke chapter 2, 23 and 24, probably our last segment or two, it is the law of Jehovah. This is not the law of Christ. When it's the law of the Lord, it's talking about the law of God. And the law of God is the law of Moses. God gave the law through Moses to Israel. So that would be the Torah, the 5 books of Moses, also known as the Pentateuch. Again, we have gone through all of these verses. We have yet to get to Jesus and his teachings. And we can see from all of this information, from all the context that we've set up, Jesus is born into, and his parents and all of these people around him are following the teachings of Torah. And this is the context into which Jesus was born.